Hey guys, we are back for another WonderCon visual guide, this time for 2017. We're back at the Anaheim Convention Center, returning from LA Convention Center. Last year was kind of a weird year as there was a lot of construction going on here. There still is a bunch of construction going on here, although not directly in the building behind us. So WonderCon's returning to the place where we've really enjoyed it the most here, and we're biased with all of our Disney and theme park love. Knott's not too far from here, Disneyland right across the street. We'll talk about some of those things as they might relate to enhancing your WonderCon weekend. But it is that time of year we start getting a lot of questions on social media about when to line up, where to line up, what should I do about this, where to get food for that, and those sorts of things. And so hopefully this video will address some of those things and give you some information. Although you'll want to follow along with us all throughout the convention on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, Parks and Cons, or sdccblog.com is going to have a ton of stuff. In fact, they have a great article on room sizes in terms of lining up. Is going to be a great resource, and we'll talk more about that as we go on as well. They're going to have all the latest news, whether it's about exclusives, programming, or anything related to WonderCon. So that said, let's talk a little bit about what we have here. So as I said, it is the big show returning. In our visual guides, if you followed along with us before, we don't spend time talking about like what to pack in your backpack or what types of shoes to wear. We figure you already know that, or you can find that. We do have other resources for that over at parksandcons.com, but definitely this is a standard convention center, meaning you're not going to want to use ATMs because there's higher rates. You're not going to want to buy, drinks or foods if you could avoid it, because it's all going to be a little pricier, but we will talk about some resources in the local area to help with that. Now, returning this year, there will be no on-site registration, meaning if you've not already bought your badge, do so immediately. As we're filming this, Saturday is gone. So all you have there are the 3 days and Friday and Sunday. By the time this goes up on our YouTube channel, that might even be gone. So make sure to plan accordingly. For those that registered early enough, you got your badge mailed to you, which is going to really help get people in even quicker. Registration is always super fast when it comes to Comic-Con International, whether it's at San Diego Comic-Con or at WonderCon. They are pros. Their volunteers are amazing at getting people in and getting them out. So it'll be even better this year. But that said, you do want to plan for that. If you can come out Thursday night, they are doing badge registration until 7 o'clock. Always the best time. Then you can arrive Friday, but hopefully you bought early enough that you don't even have to worry about that. If you are picking up, it will be Hall D. We're going to take a look at some of the halls and talk a little bit about where to find what when we talk about the floor, but Hall D is your pickup area if you're having to do that. We're also going to talk a little bit about the hotel layout here, because one of the really nice things at the Anaheim Convention Center is the Marriott and Hilton are really great resources for lots of things. Although a little pricey, there's some fun places to kind of hide out in there, charge your phones, get some rest, grab some food, and we'll talk a little about that as well. Now, if you are going to be staying near, one thing we talk about in terms of parking, you can park at the convention center parking. Prices have, as of recording, have not been released for that. But do be aware, it is a really crowded area. If you've not been to WonderCon Anaheim before, you're in a place that's always busy Monday through Sunday every week, unless it's like pouring rain and 40 degrees or something, because we've got the Disneyland Resort right next to it. There's all sorts of other activity going on in the Anaheim Convention Center area, so parking can be a real hassle if you are all able to stay near. As of recording, there are a couple rooms left directly through Comic-Con International and their relationship with the hotels here at the Best Western, so you can check those out, or head over to Expedia or any of those. If you are just hunting on your own, you might want to look at Good Neighbor Hotels. Good Neighbor Hotels are hotels that Disney kind of has a informal, or I guess somewhat formal relationship with. They kind of vouch that, hey, these are good neighbors to us. They're places we vouch for as being clean and reliable and all of that. But definitely, if you can stay down here, we usually don't stay right at the con for most shows, but WonderCon is the exception. We find that because of the hassle with parking out here, much better. It's worth the extra little bit of money if you can stay. You're not paying for that extra cost of parking every day and just the hassle. If you are at all slow to getting down to the con on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, you are going to be in massive parking all the way down Catella and Ball and everything else around here. So do try to get out early if you're going to be parking at the hotel area, or if you're going to be parking at Toy Story or any of that. Okay. All right, we're going to go closer to the convention center and take a look at some of the various resources and kind of the layout, talk programming, talk exclusives, and talk all those fun things that make WonderCon 2017 one of our favorite shows already of this year. All right, next up, we want to talk a little bit about just the layout of the convention center. So we're right here, kind of at the center, not too far from the fountain at the front of the Anaheim Convention Center. Behind us, we have Hall D and Hall C, and then we've got B and A as we get closer to the arena there. So let's talk. So we did mention already D. D is, if you are doing on-site registration, that is going to be the spot to go to. Now, C, as we're talking about the floor and getting an idea of what is on that floor layout. First off, you are going to have a centralized tap-in, tap-out system. So if you've not been to San Diego Comic-Con last year or WonderCon or even the Silicon Valley Comic Con last year, they are using the RFID badges. So you tap in and tap out. Do make sure to do that. If you have any issues with it, make sure to see some staff because you're going to have to get it addressed. But it's very critical that you get tapped in and tap out. And you want to budget a little bit of extra time when you're getting onto the floor and all of those things, because it does get more backed up than just walking in and holding your badge up and passing through real quickly there. So keep that in mind. All right, now talking about this, how the floor kind of lays out. Hall C, you've got a lot of the gaming, artist alley, signing areas, all of that's kind of laid into that area. Now, because WonderCon is a big time show, there's lots of fun stuff on the floor, big major booths. When we talk about something like a DC or something like that, they're definitely not on the scale of Comic-Con, but surely you're going to find some really good kind of big fun things there. Some of the big studios do come here. WB makes a presence known, and we'll talk about that when we get to programming and things like that. But see, more so the gaming, artist alley, a lot smaller outside of the signing areas, and do make sure as you get wristbands or things like that for signings that you keep an eye on where you are supposed to line up for that. Now, as we move over then to our B area, that is our IDW. DC is going to be at the very front. Graffitis there as well, Skybound, some of the small press all kind of mixed in there. And then as we move into A down the way closer to the arena, that is more of the gold, Silver Age books, lots of comic bins, wall books, things like that, more of the comic side, and intermingled in all of it, but particularly in the A side and down at the C side, you're going to have more of the kind of independent vendors there, the people from Frankenstein show down the way, or some of those typical con vendors are going to be selling Marvel Legends and Lego sets and t-shirts and hats and all that sort of fun stuff. So keep an eye out for all that. Now, one thing about the shopping, do you remember, it has been many, many years since we found many good deals at WonderCon. We have in the past, but normally the con, as it's gotten more and more busy, more and more crowded, the vendors have done well enough that they don't need to slash prices on Sunday. So I mean, we always suggest with cons this size that as you're going through them, if you see something you love and you can afford it, buy it. If you see something you like and you're interested in, put it on a list, note the booth number, come back to it on Sunday, see if they're willing to wheel and deal, or maybe they've cut the prices for you already. But you know, you have to remember, nothing that you find here is going to be the same or cheaper than online, most likely, unless it's super unique and you can't find it online, because these guys are having to spend their days and hours out here grinding out. They had to pay for the booths and all of those things, so you're not going to find online prices there. As we're getting closer, we're 2 weeks out from the show as we are recording today. More and more exclusives are coming onto the scene, so keep an eye on places like Toddland, for example. They're teamed up with Bob's Burgers, again, doing some cool stuff there. IDW Graffiti always has a relationship with DC, although as of now that's not anything announced for this year, but again, that could change by the time this show goes up on YouTube. So keep an eye on that. Head over to sdccblog.com. They're going to keep track of all of the exclusives there. Also, Comic-Con International will have a central landing page where you can find a list of the exclusives as well. People will be tweeting these things out. We'll be retweeting them as well, and you can find lots of fun stuff there that you'll only find exclusively here at WonderCon. All right, we've made our way over here into this shade right next to the Hilton, and we talked a little bit about this earlier, but the Hilton and the Marriott are really great resources while you're at the convention. You know, they would be the type of places that I'd recommend going to buy soda or water or, you know, any of those like kind of basic supplies. We'll talk more about, you know, a CVS and a Walgreens not too far away, but to grab a quick lunch, grab a quick dinner, or even a nicer dinner, there are some great spots there. I mean, you are going to be paying hotel prices, so they are going to be inflated some. Additionally, as we go inside, they both have nice areas to sit down, relax, get out of the madness of here, although they'll still be crowded in there. Charge your phone, hang out, have a drink at the bar, whatever it might be. Over at the Marriott Infused is a really nice spot, a great restaurant there. We've had some good meals over there. Now, all of this being said, we have not been at a convention at the Anaheim Convention Center in over a year because of the construction last year. So as we're kind of throwing things out there, I mean, things may have changed. We went and did you know, some research looking that physically the places are still there, but we have not gone in and tasted all the foods and things like that. Another recommendation in terms of food, there is a food court right here in the Hilton. Submarine is a place we like quite a bit. Again, it's pricey, but you get like a lot for the money. So in our case, pick a big old sandwich. It's 19 bucks for that and a drink, which is really pricey, but easily can be split between two people. So if you figure 19 bucks for two people with a soda, you got to be willing to split the large soda as well. They also have 99-cent refills there in these big cups. So not a bad find, you know, when we're talking about where we're at. Now, we'll talk again about options over at downtown Disney and out on the streets there in Cattell and stuff, but if you're trying to stay nestled right here, because it is going to be busy, we've got like 7-8 panels that we want to do on Friday, so there's not going to be a lot of time for us to be really running too far away. So there's going to be the food and drink that we pack, and then when we take a break, Honestly, it's going to be at the Hilton or the Marriott for quick little fast food things there, maybe Pizza Hut over there or the food court here, things like that. Additionally, one last option on food, there will be food trucks, most likely. That's become pretty much a thing here at the Anaheim Convention Center in the center area in front of the fountains there. So how many? Not sure. Guessing there'll be quite a few good options. Food trucks are always great, just you always have to be aware that usually they're fairly pricey, and at the same time they usually are pretty packed, and so you have to weigh that in. We're not big on food trucks at shows just for those two reasons, but we love seeing them there, and if we find a spot where they're not super busy, we always make sure to visit them. Last thing about anything related to the hotels, there is a Starbucks in here. It is always massively crowded. It doesn't matter what convention is going on here. It's late in the day here on Saturday, not like, 5 o'clock at night even. We're talking like 2 in the afternoon. It's not prime coffee time necessarily, but the line in the Starbucks was going out the door again. We've had people waiting an hour and a half in line for their Starbucks. They've told us on social media there is a coffee bean and tea leaf outside down the way, so a little bit of a walk, but just something to be advised. There won't be any quick trips to Starbucks during the main hours of WonderCon. All right, next up we want to talk a little bit about programming, and we are standing right in front of here, the arena. And arena is a really great spot for panels because it is a big time room. It has what we like the most in panel rooms, which is lots of seats, and it's very rare, really honestly, even at a Star Wars Celebration or D23 Expo, that it gets totally packed. Not that it still doesn't for those cons, but it is rare. And so as you are looking at the schedule and looking at things in the arena, it is more likely that you'll be able to show up there a tad bit later. Several times in the last few years, we've shown up 10-15 minutes before and been able to see whatever CW's superhero show we've wanted to see. Even back with X-Men Days of Future Past, when they were there with Fox, we were able to just kind of wander in there at the start of the presentation. And so the big WB, since 2006, they've had that relationship with WB premiering some great DC animation. This year it's Teen Titans with Judas Contract. No doubt that we can go in there at 6 o'clock right at the start and enjoy that as a fun kind of night. And that really leads into just talking generally about the nighttime programming, because one of the things that is great about WonderCon is they do focus on having some nighttime offerings, whether it is the Masquerade, the Judas Contract, or various smaller scale panels with Nerdist or NASA or things like that. Always make sure and check out those panels 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, even going to as late as 10 or 11 o'clock at night. A lot of entertainment there, which is awesome. We found in looking at the panels and kind of setting up our schedule, our Friday and Sunday are super heavy. There's a ton of things we want to see. We won't be able to see them all. Our Saturday is really light, ironically. The only thing that's kind of catching our attention right now is the WB movie panel, which will be in the arena, and we don't know what that's going to be as of this time. Definitely, again, a plug for sdccblog.com. Follow along there because they will have everything as any of the information trickles out, and then in real time throughout social media, obviously we'll be tweeting things and retweeting things all throughout the weekend as that stuff comes up. So that being said, there are a ton of those great smaller panels. Again, keep an eye out for those, and you'll find lots of fun surprises in there in terms of moderators. For example, there's a Goldberg panel, ABC, and Kevin Smith is moderating it. So, for Kevin Smith fans, even if they're not Goldberg fans, that might be a great way to see him. That said, again, an irony kind of how the paneling breaks down a lot of times at big time cons like this is it's sometimes easier to get into the arena than it is into some of those smaller rooms. They do not clear rooms, or at least as of now our understanding is they won't be clearing rooms again. That's been a pretty consistent policy for them, so you may need to get there a couple hours before. So for example, on Friday there's the Marvel animation panel, and followed up by it has Logan behind the scenes. I'm guessing the Logan behind the scenes is going to catch more eyeballs probably than Marvel animation, but if you want to get into that Logan panel, you might want to plan to be there an hour or so before. Again, plug for sdccblog.com. They just posted their article with all sorts of information related to how big each room is, because at the end of the day, it really doesn't matter when you line up on your own thoughts of like, hey, it's going to be 3 hours, it's going to be 5 hours. None of that matters. What matters is how big is the room and how popular are the things in your panel and the ones after it. That's really what matters. And if something at the end of the day is super popular, it really doesn't matter if your panel right before it isn't. A few years ago, I thought one of the best examples we've seen here, Battlestar Galactica, Richard Hatch panel, not a huge crazy panel, a very consistent one. It's got a good fan base, but with Geek and Sundry right after it, you had the place packed with Geek and Sundry fans that were taking over kind of the room from the Battlestar fans. So you got to plan, look at the whole schedule. Don't ever look at just one panel, and that goes true with any convention you attend, not just WonderCon. Okay, outside of programming, construction, we've gotten a lot of questions about that. So you can see behind us, construction is not done, not close to done. So although WonderCon has moved back here and a lot of conventions have moved move back here. There is still a lot of work to be done. More conference space is going to be coming. There is a connecting tower up at the top floor there where people are going to be able to walk over from this building to what we're used to as our home for Anaheim Convention Center. So that'll be great. But for now, whether it be, you know, conference space, parking, construction vehicles, whatever it is, we've been out here several times this month working on kind of doing reconnaissance for this video, and there's constantly been streams of construction trucks coming in and needing to close things down. So just, you know, beware. I would imagine with such a big con like WonderCon, it won't be too much of a distraction, but still it is taking up space. You can see the walls are going out way far, so as you hook around by the arena area, for example, an area that normally gets a lot of foot traffic and be a little claustrophobic, now it's about half as wide as it normally is, so it's going to be even more crowded. So again, plan accordingly, build extra time into your schedule for that. Last thing that we want to hit on is the things outside of this WonderCon campus, because one of the great things about WonderCon at Anaheim Convention Center, it does have a campus feel. Definitely not the level of something like San Diego Comic-Con where it takes over all the gas lamp, but you do feel like you are in one big community when you're down here at the Hilton, the Marriott, and the surrounding area. But that really does extend into the Disney area. And so we have Catella here. Two things to note there. You've got a CVS and a Walgreens that have come on board in the last couple of years there. Both of them are good places to not only grab, you know, quick food, water, but even just quick type of lunches. They have sandwiches, pre-made salads, things like that. All of them obviously at better prices than Convention Center. There's a 7-Eleven across the street as well. And then a big plug for downtown Disney. Even if you're not a Disney fan, definitely if you're not even planning to go inside of Disneyland or DCA, I would definitely suggest looking into making some plans to go down to downtown Disney. There's so many cool things to see in the hotels. Trader Sam's is a great bar with all sorts of theming there. Really, if you ask me, it's the best themed dining experience in the resort, even beyond Blue Bayou. You've got, you know, ESPN Zone and Ralph Brennan's and all of those places too. Head over and get the Disneyland app. Even if you're never going to be at Disneyland again, but just so that we can get the Disneyland app, create an account, you can book reservations for the places that go through Disney dining there. So when we did this video a few years ago, we suggested, you know, calling the hotline and talking to an operator. Go onto the app, you can find dinner reservations and book that food that you want now, so you don't have to add that to your waiting, your list of waiting. Also, you've got, you know, Lego store over there, Wonderground and D Street have lots of Star Wars and Marvel stuff, so guessing that will be of interest for a lot of people. There are shuttles to downtown Disney or Disneyland via Toy Story or over here, but for us it's just a short walk. It's really not that long of a walk, so you can just cut down Catella, head straight up there and make your way in the park. Do make sure to note though, if you've not been to the Disneyland Resort in, let's say, 6 months to a year, security has changed. They do bag checks and metal detectors now, so especially if you're a cosplayer with some sort of crazy weapons, they are going to stop you and you're not going to be able to bring that in. So plan accordingly. There may be longer waits. You are going to have to open up your bags. They are going to check all those things just to get into downtown Disney. So it used to be to get into the parks, but now it's to get into downtown Disney even. Once you're past security into downtown Disney, you're free to roam, go in the parks, whatever, with your tickets there. All right, so hopefully this has helped give you some background to prepare for the best WonderCon of your life. We love this show. As I said, it's going to be a highlight of 2017. I have no doubt about it because it is always fun. We love it. It's a great show. It's a great place for a show. We have a blast every time. So follow along over on sdccblog.com for all the breaking news leading up to the weekend, and definitely follow along with us at parksandcons.com as we will be posting all sorts of things in real time as we get closer. So wrapping up now from the Anaheim Convention Center. Until next time, we'll see you in line somewhere.